This is Optimal Living Daily Relationships, episode 110. There's no shame in admitting parenting is hard. Part 2 by Tammy Marshall with FamilyOptimize.com. Welcome, relationship optimizers, to the relationships edition of Optimal Living Daily. I'm Joss Marie, your host and personal narrator. And this is the show where I bring you some of the best relationship blogs in the world every Monday through Friday, free of charge. If you're looking for relationship advice, we've got it. If you want parenting insight, we've got it. We cover a wide range of relationship topics here on the show and are always looking for new content. So make sure and let us know if you have a favorite author, blog, or website in mind that you'd like us to read here on the show and falls within the realm of relationships. You can let us know right at oldpodcast.com or simply join our Facebook group and let us know that way instead. To join, just search for Optimal Living Daily in Facebook and request access. Or the shortcut link is oldpodcast.com/Facebook. Today, I have the second part of a 2-part parenting mini-series by Tammy Marshall with FamilyOptimize.com. So if you're new here, you'll probably want to check out yesterday's episode first to hear part 1. That's episode 109. And for those of you who have been waiting to hear part 2 of this parenting post, let's get to it and continue optimizing your life. There's no shame in admitting parenting is hard. Part 2 by Tammy Marshall with FamilyOptimize.com. So, when being 30 and getting self-righteous comments instead of a kind word or helping hand, I simply began losing my faith in humanity. Now, however, my vision has come back to 2020. I couldn't even identify a face in a lineup that had something to say to shame me about being a mother. However, I can definitively remember the face of the woman who paid for my new charger cord after I discovered my last cord chewed and broken up by my 2-year-old and went to get a new cord and discovered I'd forgotten my debit card. I remember my stunning, both inside and out, fitness instructor who understood the stressed out look on my face when I walked into her yoga class and simply said, "Grab a mat, relax, breathe. I know you're in the parenting battlefield." I remember the neighbor that brought wood over to my house and asked me if I was doing okay when a windstorm had taken out power at my house for a week. I remember my daughter's preschool teacher who offered to take my daughter during the windstorm to give me a couple hours to deal with the outage. I thanked the woman, then used that time to chop wood and prepare to cook meals on the wood stove we mostly use for decoration purposes. One of my favorite quotes from Fred Rogers of the show Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood is, quote, "When I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, 'Look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping,'" unquote. Often, when I think of the bitterness that sometimes rips through my psyche at the rude comments directed at me during my child's early years, I manage to conjure this famous quote from one of the most influential children's show educators of our time. I remember the kind words and support that was directed to me in my situation. I remember the kind friend from high school who explained to me that instead of focusing on my child's trauma at the sudden fire evacuation, I should instead explain that God gave us firefighters as real-life superheroes who dedicated their lives to keeping us safe from wildfire. That even though this world has its horrors and people who give words of shame instead of help, there are people out there who are kind and who are trained to help those in need. Like I was trained to help homeless teenage mothers, I was trained to be their mentor, to help. The world was doing all it could to make them feel bad about their situation. I was there to teach them life skills and help them with their day-to-day problems while they were growing up themselves. The world is full of kind people and helpers, but how do you find them amongst all the liars, cheaters, and other people dedicated to creating chaos? Especially when you are someone like me who had spent a good portion of her 20s reading case logs that still gives me nightmares. Needless to say, I'm not the most trusting person in the world, and I was not born yesterday. For me, I was lucky enough to have a few childhood friends who I could trust for a few hours with my daughter. I liked the child watch at the gym simply because I knew she was being cared for in the same building I was in, and if she needed me, I was already there. As for the critics and naysayers of my job as a mother with a young child, really, they're all now insignificant background squealers. I've come to accept that somehow they felt better about themselves for putting me down, that by kicking me while I was at my most vulnerable and weakest, they somehow felt better about themselves. Honestly, I kind of feel sorry for those people now. They're like dissolving vapor in my memory, while those who helped me will forever live on inside me, and I hope one day I will get the chance to repay their kindness. If not to them, at least I know I'll too be a helping hand with a mother with a young child, and not a mom shamer. You just listened to the post titled, "There's No Shame in Admitting Parenting is Hard," Part 2, by Tammy Marshall with FamilyOptimized.com. While we feature authors with FamilyOptimized.com pretty frequently here on the Relationships edition of Optimal Living Daily, this is actually the first time we're spotlighting Tammy. So thanks again to her for letting us feature her post. Also, if you have an author or a blog in mind that you've never heard me cover here on the show, please let us know. We're always looking for new relationship content and perspectives, so we'd love to hear your recommendations. You can reach out to us right at oldpodcast.com or via our Facebook group. To join, just search for Optimal Living Daily in Facebook and request access. Or the shortcut link is oldpodcast.com/Facebook. And that's all I have for today. Thank you for listening all the way through. Have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you again next week, where your optimal life awaits.
Hello, Life Optimizer. This is Justin Malik, creator and producer of this podcast, but also Optimal Living Daily, the show where I read to you from even more blogs covering finance, productivity, minimalism, personal development, and more from incredible bloggers like Derek Sivers, Zen Habits, Mark and Angel, The Minimalists, and all the ones you hear on this show too. So if you enjoyed today's episode and like taking amazing blogs on the go, come on over to Optimal Living Daily and subscribe to that one too. And together, we'll start optimizing your life.
You've been listening to Optimal Living Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode, and head to oldpodcast.com, that's OLDpodcast.com, for a free gift as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.